Are we ready, Christine?
We're ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode 61 of the Get Reelisms Podcast live. I am Adam Chase Rennie.
And I am Christine Chen.
So, Christine's dying currently.
I was.
Ladies and gentlemen.
I think the easiest way, if you want to ruin my life, is to bring cats anywhere close to me.
But here's the thing, though. Christine won't refuse cats either. She loves.
I love cats.
She loves cats as well.
It's like a love-hate relationship because I actually really love cats, and I just can't be near them because then I go into this weird death, like coughing mode, like uncontrollable. I had to run to my car to get the emergency inhaler because I couldn't stop coughing. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Yeah. So I come back. I knew had been a cat in the apartment.
Yeah.
And I agreed to it because I was being a supportive roommate. It's like her niece or something is moving, and the place wasn't ready for her to move into. And she was like, well, I'll make sure the doors are closed, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's fine. Just make sure to clean. Supposedly she did. Maybe she just needs to clean more, but like I get in and I'm like death, like just coughing. And I'm glad she experienced this firsthand because I don't think people realize when I say I'm extremely allergic until they see that I'm dying. Then they're like, oh no, I understand what extremely allergic actually means. It means like you could die. Yeah. So I don't think people get it. And so she's like, oh shit. And like, vacuuming and stuff. And I'm like, dude, when I say I'm extremely allergic, I'm extremely allergic.
You are allergic. And that's the funniest part too, is like, because I've also had friends who are like allergic to cats as well. And I'm sort of allergic, but it's not as bad as what you have. I just get like real scratchy, like around my legs and my wrists for some reason. Every time I think about cats, I scratch my wrists. It just, I itch on my, it's just so bad on my ankles and my wrists. I don't know why. Every time I pet and love cats, and I love them, they're so adorable, but they don't agree with me either. And that's it's so unfortunate because you have to tell them, like, because they don't know either. They probably never had friends or anybody growing up.
That's
when
why
they had cats.
I'm like,
so when you enter the house, like 5 minutes or 10 minutes later, you're just like, you're turning into the thing.
Yeah. It's
and
like
you
really
are
bad
dying
too. But I'm glad. Sometimes you need to just experience it firsthand to know that, like, hey, Christine's near cats, she will die.
Because they think like, oh, this is my little buddy. Like they don't mean any harm. It's not a big deal.
What's it gonna do?
And I check for fleas. We're fine. They always say they check for fleas, but every time I walk away scratching the shit out of my body. Yeah. And I can't imagine how you feel. Well, no, I do imagine how you feel because I've seen you like post. I don't think during, but I feel like I've seen you post like cat allergic attack.
Yeah, allergy. And people legitimately don't know until they see me and how I react.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not made up shit. Like if there's cat, even if I don't see a cat, like which is in this case the same. There was no cat in sight, but literally the moment I'm in there for like, and I've timed it, about 30 minutes is about when it starts to react. It's like uncontrollable coughing, to the point, like I cough so much I threw up like twice, like because I can't stop coughing. Yeah.
Wow.
So the good thing is, my roommate experienced firsthand and feels really bad, and well, hopefully next time if there's ever a cat in sight, we'll vacuum 10 times before I step into the room. But I was like, dude,
vacuum, open some windows.
I was like, are you sure you vacuum? Because like the moment we like vacuumed again, like I've been acceptable. I'm not dying. So I'm like, I don't know.
I'm sneezing and scratching. Something's wrong.
So yeah, but
you're back home now.
Yeah.
You're back home from Virginia for a week. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Basically in time to look at all my bills and all my mail.
Work on Erzulie a little bit and then go back. Yeah.
Yeah. I already step one, looked at all the mail, like a shit ton of mail I hadn't looked at. And it was like mail from like March. Yeah. I'm like, holy shit. Yeah.
Are you just bad at looking mail? Because there's no way you've been gone that long.
I just haven't been here that much. And when I'm here, sometimes I don't look in the mailbox. And so maybe it was in the mailbox then. And then like, I just haven't, I'm here for like a few days, this time I'm here for a week. Yay. And so, yes, it's just been first going through my mail and then dropping off stuff. I'm trying to consolidate the things. I'm like everywhere right now. It feels so weird. If anybody's ever lived out of boxes or out of suitcases, I was in a suitcase in Virginia, and then I'm about to be in a suitcase in Austin, and then I'm in storage unit in Austin, and then I'm slowly trying to move that storage unit here to Shreveport. So it's just everywhere. Like, but I mean, the good thing about living so mobile is you really understand that like material things don't really matter that much. There's so many things in my storage unit that I, couldn't bear to throw away, and I kept in the storage unit, and then I'm taking it out and I've totally forgotten that I even have any of that stuff, So it's just like, So stuff.
You keep digging through and you're like, wait a second, I haven't seen this thing in years, 5 years.
And I didn't miss it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you didn't miss it.
Yeah. So just perspective. It's just like, it's just, in the end, it's just stuff I had actually thought about. I told you, I don't know if it was the last episode or not, that I debated about whether or not to just buy a RV or a camper.
No, we haven't talked about this.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I debated about getting a camper. It's still on my mind.
Camper, huh?
Yeah.
Your storage is always with you.
Right. Well, I think the biggest thing is just like, I feel like I'm paying a very expensive, it's not that expensive at Shreveport, but it's expensive enough storage unit. I'm just never here. I don't know. It's interesting. I started watching the Anthony Bourdain documentary. I'm not finished with it yet, but
the one on Hulu,
Netflix,
okay.
Amazon Prime.
Okay.
It came out in theaters and I wasn't able to watch it, but it's on Amazon Prime
it's
now.
New.
It's new. Yeah, it's called Roadrunner, and so far it's very, very good. And there's a line in there.
Let me write that down.
Yeah, called Roadrunner. The editing is superb, and like he's a fascinating guy.
I love anything. I read his book, Anthony Bourdain's. Anything Anthony Bourdain.
Right.
My dad got a chance to meet him.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah. When he worked in Homeland Security, he just like, he passed him by in an airport and he was like, holy shit. He was like, I love your show. And he was like, thanks, man. And that was it. Yeah. But he seems like, I mean, it's a shame that we lost him so soon, but he every time like he has like some sort of like insightful, some sort of like, I guess it's because the experience that he has gotten, but like just even far past cooking, sort of like where Gordon Ramsay is right now. Like he was like towards the end of his life, he was all about like family and bringing everything and coming together and using all these experiences and realizing how important it is to be with somebody who you love and stuff like that. And Anthony Bourdain's like almost like a philanthropist.
He also says that, and that was what I was going to bring up, is like he kept saying learning the difference of like what it means to be in someplace shitty with someone that you love, or being somewhere amazing and having no one to share it with, that they're both equally shitty. Yeah. So they're whether which one's shittier, like,
it's like a rock and a hard place situation.
Yeah. They both suck. Yeah. Being in a shitty place with someone that you love, that's a good poll. Would you rather
Mhm.
be in a shitty place with someone that you love, or being somewhere amazing that you can't share with anybody at
Right.
all?
Yeah.
So I think in the doc, at least to the point that we were, I watched it to, that's where his decline was that he was in these amazing places and not having
Not much
anybody
to
to
share it
share it
with.
with, and feeling utterly alone. And it's interesting because I haven't gotten to that point yet, because I've never been truly alone while I'm in all the places I've been. I'm with the film crew. I'm with,
Right.
luckily, people that I've brought from like my AD posse. So like I haven't felt that way, but traveling this much is difficult. It's you know, it totally gets to you. It's, you just, I don't know. Luckily, it's like I'm going away from Shreveport, so it's not, I don't feel like as much FOMO per
Yeah.
se. But I don't know, it's nice to be able to be in your own bed and with your own stuff and have a closet and stuff like that, you know? So
Yeah. But also you wouldn't trade the experiences that you've had thus far for anything,
true.
even
Yeah.
even for time and home, because that would just drive you nuts.
True. Yeah. It's,
Uh,
I don't know. Yeah, it's
it's a
always,
love-hate relationship.
it is a
I mean,
love-hate
yeah,
relationship, that's for
it's the
sure.
same thing with filmmaking. I hate to say it. I mean,
Yeah.
I love film so much, but this is the other day. Like, I watched a movie that I was so excited to watch, and I watched it, and it
Which
was,
movie?
I'm not gonna say, because I'm gonna shit
Why?
on it, because I'm gonna shit on it.
Oh,
Yeah, because it was like, it was a movie that I've been waiting for. It's nothing anything big, but it was like a little, like, it was a little thing. Anyways, it's been like 5 years in the making. And when they announced this thing, this was like an independent film,
okay.
um that was supposed to be made like years ago, but it was just never gonna get made.
Hmm.
And finally, like, and the story from that point sounded awesome, but
Yeah.
then once I saw the flick, now it's
Uh-huh.
completely like different. And it's
Okay.
sort of like, it was the first time I went to bed angry. Like,
Oh no.
it felt like, well, I don't know, because I don't like shitting on movies just for the sake of shitting on movies. Like, I hate that. I don't know. I don't like it when people do that, but it was one of
Right.
those things. It's like, when you are waiting for like the next Harry Potter book or whatever, like the next Twilight book, something
Hmm.
that you've been looking forward to, and then you read it and you get to the last chapter and you're just like, are you kidding
Yeah.
me?
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
Why is this happening? Why is this is completely 180 from what you did. And I'm not saying that no filmmaker can't take chances. Every filmmaker should absolutely take chances, but it it felt like such great setup, but then just completely crushed the entire plot of it all. Does that
Yeah.
make sense? I
Yeah.
feel like I'm rambling. I think I'm rambling. I'm going to shut
No.
up.
No, I think it's hard when you have an expectation for anything in life, when you have an expectation for something
Yeah,
and then
but even
you've
then,
built up
like,
that anticipation and you get let down. I mean,
yeah. Well, it was just like how everything was set up to be and how it was hyped. Then it was just
right.
like, oh, this is what you got?
Yeah.
You've had all this time and you had all this money, and then you just decided, you know,
Yeah, that's why I
shortcuts?
like to do the opposite
Like,
thing. I'm like, this is this this film I made is okay and blah blah. I like to downplay it, and then people are like, "Oh, this is great. What are you
I
talking
know.
about?" I rather that.
It's probably better, because it's probably better to do that, I guess. So, I mean, you don't want to inflate your ego, so
Yeah.
much where it's just like, my shit don't stink and this film rules,
Right.
all these years. I don't know. It feels like you're, I guess, yeah, you're robbing the surprise of it all, part of it,
Hmm.
but also like, you set this up all these years, all this time, and you had all this time, and now it's just like, oh, this is what you delivered. Okay. All right.
Yeah, but like time, I don't know. I don't think having like edited Erzulie and gone through the process and stuff, I don't think having 3 more years would have changed what it is. Like, there's to a certain point where time isn't going to do much, because what it ends up being is how good was your script to start with, right? And what happened during production and what came out of it. So like, if your production took 2 weeks, you know, and your script was awful, 5 years is not going
It's
to
not going to
change
make
a
it.
damn thing.
Yeah.
That's where it comes down to, where things, where people had issues with, during the test screening, if anybody had any issues with Erzulie, it all went back to the script. It was like, well, shit, like that was what the script said. Like that's how the script was structured. There was any, I had somebody watch it being like, you know what, like the female stuff is like interesting stuff. But I wish I could have just seen like a mermaid that just killed a bunch of people. And I was like, well, that's not really our script, is it?
No. Yeah.
Like, cool. I'm glad that was what you wished for.
Right.
But like, if somebody wishes,
I see what you're
they're
saying.
going to be sorely disappointed, because like 5 years in the making is never going to change that, because it all stems with how your script is, So I just think the more, having gone through this process, I'm realizing more. I mean, I knew it was important, but even more so, it's just like, it's the script, man. That's where you should spend 5 years in the making, is the script,
Right. Yeah.
Because the other part, it doesn't matter. Like, okay, you have your film and it took 3 years to edit it. That 3 years is literally not going to change that much. Like, even for me, like in this process, thinking about like, oh, would it have made a difference if I had a year to edit it? I don't think so.
Not really.
Like, maybe what it would give me is I would have maybe more breathing room. I could maybe edit it intensely for a month and then like forget about it for like 5 months, and then like go back and then have a different perspective, and maybe that will help me with a better edit. So I can give it that. But will it significantly change a film from an apple to an orange? Like, no, it won't, So I don't know. That's my 2 cents on. So you went in expecting something, right?
Yeah, basically.
So, and the sound of like, oh, they spent 5 years on this film, like made it one of the bigger heists. But when it boils down to it, their script had problems. So you should read the script and see what it is. Every time I see a bad movie, I kind of now want to go back and just read the script and see like why was it bad? Was it bad because the script was bad, or was it bad because they made creative choices that made that where the script was good? That's when something went wrong. Is when the script is
in the
good,
production line. Yeah.
And then it came out with something else, and you're like, what the fuck? That's when like, okay, like it's something
derailed from the source material. Yeah.
So that's where like so many, I think it's more so Marvel studio films where the director comes out and says like, hey, look, dude, like I had the script and it was very good, and then the studios made me cut all the stuff that would have added value to the story, and now I get this like chopped up Swiss cheese of a film, and it just isn't good because of that. So that's when I'm like really
and there's even directors that just bail the entire project completely. They're just like, oh yeah, no, I can't work with this, so bye.
And it's I
and Star Wars, same thing with Star Wars. It's the same exact thing with Star Wars. Like they come in with like a script, but then the producers or whoever in Lucasfilm, people have been saying that, like this new trilogy, I don't know if you've seen it, but this was sort of like, this was recent news, and this has something to do with film, people. Okay. I know it's Star Wars, big corporate thing, whatever. But I thought this was interesting, where this new trilogy that came out with Star Wars sequel trilogy, is a very controversial subject for Star Wars fans, because the creative choices weren't really made by the directors themselves. They weren't really made by, the writers, who both are so bigger fans of Star Wars than I am. And if that tells you something, Christine, that's a lot. It's a lot. These people love fucking Star Wars. They are Star Wars fans. So they come in with a completely different script, like you were talking about.
Right.
But then the end product is something way fucking different. Like, absolutely. It was like day and night. I'm like, how the fuck did you get this from that script to the final cut? It's just like, how did that happen? And it's like, oh, well, the hierarchy of powers from, the executive people, the white collars upstairs, and then it goes down slowly through the production line to the producers, and then it goes to the director, and the director is basically left with
something else. That's why I don't know. Will be interesting if I ever get a chance to, when I get the chance to do a studio film or something, because one of the things that I like so much is having that control. Right, I have a direct, personal, at least
impact. Final cut. That's ridiculous.
I it's going to be weird because everything that I've created, I've had a direct impact on from everything.
You touched everything with the film.
I've touched everything, to the point where people stop touching. Not to be
weird, but yes.
I've touched everything. Editing, I've touched that, everything.
Yeah.
So to be that disconnected or forced to be that disconnected from the process is mind-boggling to me. And I mean, I'm already kind of experiencing it on a very, 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 very tiny scale in terms of I have a creative director from the distribution company who's like, I like this, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this, I don't, and it's I appreciate what they're trying to do, because they are thinking in terms of what will make this film the most sellable and everything. But it can be at the same time very annoying. It'll be stuff like, I don't think the font should be pink. And I'm like, well, I do.
Well, can you pose arguments like that?
Yeah, I can do that. Okay. I'm learning. That's the part I'm learning, I think.
Because I wouldn't know. I would feel like if some studio exec tells me hey, change this, I'm just like, well, okay,
why?
I guess,
exactly. No, I'm learning. That's the part I'm learning, is the power as a creator to be like, no, and this is why. Or understanding, right. And I why
respectfully disagree.
I respectfully disagree, or I don't see where you're coming from, but please explain to me your reasoning for blank.
Just so you get the bigger picture instead of just wanting to scream at them. Are you crazy?
I think that's the part I've learned the most through this process, this editing process, is the learning how to take the feedback, and if I don't agree with it, instead of being like, I effing hate you and you don't know shit, being like,
which is
okay,
my first response.
It is easy to feel that first.
Yeah.
I still feel that. I'll get this, I can feel my blood pressure start to rise and my face turning red. I can just feel the anger boiling. But then being able to look past that and think okay, what's our common goal? All our common goals is to make a better film that will sell and that will be enjoyed by audiences. Cool. We all have that common goal. So if I disagree with you, I just want to know I want you to know, here are my reasons for why I disagree or why I want a certain way. Let me hear you. And then we come to a nice middle ground type thing. So that's been, I think that's been the coolest or the most beneficial thing that I've learned from doing Erzulie, because prior to that, with my short films, even with Fun Employment, it was whatever F I wanted.
Right. It was all you. Yeah.
It was just me. I did the movie just for me. and I wanted to do it this way, I can do it that way, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's the coolest learning experience I've had from this process is like, oh no, I have a job to also run it past the distribution company and see like what do they think, you know? And it's a weird process because they're on their own schedule, right? And so I'm here freaking out like, hey, I want the notes like right now or tomorrow because I have a festival deadline in 2 days. But they're like, you know, we will get to it when we get to it, you know, and it's just like, so
yeah.
So that's been an interesting learning experience. But I think, you know, I've heard people say that films that go through that there is a catch-22 that films that are allowed to just directors are allowed to do whatever the F they want don't necessarily yield the best films.
That's entirely true. Yes.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Because
some do though.
Yeah, but they're
very lucky,
distribution companies aren't talking out of their butt either.
Right.
They have, you know, they have huge ass departments that are doing crunching numbers, that are doing data analysis, that are looking at trends and stuff like that. So they're taking all that stuff into consideration, whether we as artists want to think that that's good or bad. But like ultimately what it boils down to is films are a business, and it is a product. And like with any product that is not, let's say it's not a film product, any product, hand sanitizer, drugs, whatever, it's the same concept. You test it in the market, you see what your audience is. From that audience, you know, improve it or whatever, you know, and then until you get something that hopefully appeals to a massive audience type thing. And they get to do that because they have the money to do that. And so yeah, it's not just one person's opinion. It's like they're thinking of the opinion of the masses, and that's why
everybody to make it as commercially viable as possible.
Commercially viable as possible. So, so I appreciate that, but it's very hard in the process when you're so used to doing whatever the F you want with your film to now have to think about and consider the opinions of, you know, a distribution company. I think that's, for me, that's been just completely eye-opening. And this is not even studio level, this is independent, you know. I can't imagine when it's like studio level, you know, the amount of bureaucracy and the amount of like tiers of approvals and notes that you have to go through. Like I was already losing my mind just getting the notes that I was getting, you know. But is it a better film? Hells yeah. Yeah, it is totally a much better film because of that. It helped to hear from, you know, the distribution company, like, hey, you need to chop out like 10 minutes of this. Like it's this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem. And like, well, I hate you, but let me process this.
Yeah.
And then, okay, you know. Right? Yeah.
Let's get back on track. But I still hate you.
Yeah. I hate you so much. Because it's like you have a baby and your person being like, your baby is fucking ugly.
Yeah.
And I mean, like all these things will approve your baby. Like that's hard. That hurts.
It does, because it's yours. And it's almost like you're wearing it on your sleeves and stuff, you know, and you're vulnerable that way. And that's why I can't wrap my head around just that in general.
Yeah.
That just sounds terrifying. I know I'm going to at some point have to deal with that, but
oh yeah. And I think that's the part that makes you a better filmmaker, is getting to the point where you are open and receptive of criticism and and learning from being constructive and learning that not all notes are great either, you know. So that balance of sticking true to your vision, so being strong when it comes to what you want, and then where you kindly agree to disagree, or you are able to step outside of your ego and then see the value of someone's opinion or notes, So that's been
you listen to it at least.
A lesson, a major lesson, and something I appreciate so much. So a lesson to anybody making a film, like test audiences, man. Just test all the time, and just take the notes and continue to improve on it and stuff like that. That's what I'm about to do on Monday, another test, but it's mainly from the sound. I'm in the sound mixing process. It's been a back and forth, and listening.
I saw that on Instagram.
Listening off of your earbuds versus listening on a giant speaker system is completely different experience. So I'm very excited on Monday at 7 p.m. I will be able
Monday? On.
Yeah. Go and listen on some big ass speakers and just see where we are right now. I've been every time in Austin, I go and meet up with Nick Longoria, who's part of the band In Few, who's doing he's the composer for Erzulie.
Right.
And I've worked with several composers, but like Nick is my go-to. And the reason for it is this cool, this collaboration. I've worked with artists and I get it. Sometimes you're like, this is the music and that's it. I've worked with artists that are like, this is it. You get this, like you deal with what I give you, But with Nick, like when I'm in his like session room, he allows me to, like, I'm sitting there like humming the chord progression that I think it should be, and he's like, okay. He grabs his guitar and he like is tinkling until I'm like, that chord, that's the chord I want, and that's awesome. Process is, to me, invaluable as a creator. That's how in depth and how hands-on I am on every single process. Like I will literally go in and be like, I don't like this particular chord progression. I want it to go do, and I can't sing. And so, he'll go and grab his guitar. Do you read
music? I mean, I know you play piano, but do you read music?
I read music. I'm very music literate. So, so he'll go and grab his guitar and play a shit ton of chord progressions until I'm like, that's what you just played. That's the chord. That's the chord I want. Yeah. So I have so much fun during that process when I'm able to like have that direct impact, but he's able to give his spin on it. And I'll be like, hey, Nick, go listen to Phil Collins' song. Like, I want that, like that feel.
Yeah.
So there's a scene that's inspired by a very famous Phil Collins song in Erzulie.
Ooh, don't spoil it, but I'm excited now. I'm a huge Phil Collins fan. Love Phil Collins. I was listening to him last week. I love Phil Collins.
Yeah.
I have whatever the record is, In the Air Tonight, I have that on record.
Yeah, In the Air Tonight.
Yeah. And then that
I don't know what that album
solo
is just like epic. It's like, it's so melodramatic, but it's such a representation of the 80s. I think that's why I like it so much. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's if the buildup with In the Air Tonight is unlike, like maybe Queen is the other group or artists, that I'm like that does that build up so nicely, and it just like does like it's almost like a crescendo, but like in band form. It's crazy. And Phil Collins does that, and he's a drummer too. So he understands how when you have it on time and on beat, and it's to the rhythm. Yeah, yes, exactly.
Yeah, I've been learning about the escalation of and the building of tension through music.
And I watched horror films, and I've noticed that, like, I've been watching horror films with headphones. That's probably not a good thing to do, but I've gotten to really get into the sound mixing of everything, including the soundtrack and all of it, and how you can manipulate sound is just a fucking art in of itself. Like that is insane. Because I watched like, have you ever seen The Conjuring?
I will no. I don't.
You don't do scary movies. I remember that.
I don't do scary movies.
But I've watched this movie so many times. I love it. It's a James Wan film. Please, people, watch. It's the best horror film of this decade. I promise you. It's one of the best horror films of this decade. The sound mixing in it, I never really truly like listened, because I've always listened like on a TV screen, or like the first time it was in a movie theater, but I was pretty young, so I didn't remember fully everything. Mm-hmm. But when I watch it at home, I'm watching it through TV, and then the first time I'm listening it through headphones with 5.1 surround sound. Yeah, I am like listening to every single little thing. Like I'm hearing like snapping bones, like in another room that I didn't even pick up when I first heard this fucking movie. I'm like,
exactly.
Oh, that's so fucked up.
Yeah, no, it's those little details. That's why I'm like, I have to listen to what our mix is at currently in that kind of environment, because it makes a huge difference.
It's a game changer.
Little details. It's been really interesting, because one of the things that I'm learning a lot is how much the sound design. I mean, I know this fundamentally, but it's different when you're like actually applying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
you sound smart, but then once you get into it, you're just like,
Oh yeah. And so like it's so subtle. Every little thing, like there's this bag of scales, the mermaid scales.
Yes.
And just simply keeping the sound of the scales consistent will allow you, even if you don't see it very clearly, if you hear it, you know exactly what they're handing off and stuff, because I had some moments where like we didn't go to an insert, or like it was just tight enough that you couldn't see what the characters were passing to each other. But a simple fix was literally
get the sound up,
because you heard the sound earlier. When you see it, that later on, if you simply just hear the sound, that's enough.
You have the correlation in your head. Yeah.
Exactly what they're doing without having to visually see it.
It's so funny, because I know filmmakers have done this for years, but when you explain it to me, I'm just like, what the fuck? I'm like, you just blew my fucking mind. It's like, Adam, they've done this for years.
Don't realize this, because it's so subtle. Because like what? It's like good editing, good sound design is when you don't notice it, right?
Right.
But when you're starting from nothing, no sound design, and you're building that sound design, you really notice it, because you have to, and so like every little thing. So we're like breaking it down, and I'm looking at stuff and being like, hey, okay, at this moment we need a sound cue, so people know like whatever is being picked up or whatever is happening is bad. And like it's called the stinger. You put in a little stinger to indicate, to make someone feel something at that exact moment for that like movement or whatever, so that's been really fun, like seeing from both the sound design aspect and the music aspect what a huge difference it is to build all these little emotional beats through music. I've done it, in short form and whatever, but it's nothing compared to like having to build that tension throughout a whole film. Like Erzulie now has a special sound. Like she has her own. Yeah. She has like
that's so rad.
She has
like a monster sound.
Yeah, she has her own creature sound. Yeah, but it's very, very subtle. Yeah,
I love
it's very subtle. So she has her own creature sound, which is pretty cool. I didn't go in thinking we would do that.
It's like the have you ever seen the movie Pan's Labyrinth? Guillermo del Toro.
Yes.
It's like how the fawn enters, you hear the click, 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 click.
Yeah, it's like that. So so anytime Erzulie appears or is nearby, that's the sound appears. Yeah. And
that's some Michael Myers ass shit, dude. I love it.
It's cool. And then not only does she has different types of sounds, sounds when she's angry, sounds when she's fine, normal sounds with, so like
different emotional levels.
Yeah,
like it.
different emotional sounds too. So like,
I love it.
Just details like that is fun.
That's exciting.
Camille hasn't seen the film for a while. Definitely without the sound design or where the music is at right now. I'm very excited to see how much it blows her mind. So
I'm excited to see this. I'm so stoked.
Yeah.
And you're going to do your test screening on Monday. That's exciting.
Yeah, and then I speaking to some students like on Tuesday about the making of process. And so anybody who's on Instagram or later on, if you guys are interested in the process, the talk is open to the public. So it's on Zoom and virtual.
Nice.
And everything. So yeah, we'll kind of walk through the entire process from like when we did the script, like raising the money to, it's a condensed version of our podcast for Erzulie, basically.
I was going to say, and where can people find this?
I'll put a link somewhere. I'll make an event
in the comments or something.
Yeah, in the comments or something. Yeah. So
for sure. That's awesome. Yeah. You're a teacher. You're a fucking, you also teach. You taught me.
Yeah. I like teaching. I think teaching gives me perspective in terms of, I get asked questions I never thought about, and it makes me a better filmmaker because of that. You know, how to explain something, how to break something down into its fundamentals and stuff. To be able to do that, to explain something as simply as possible means you yourself have to understand that concept extremely well. You know? And so it forces me to be like, hold up, okay, how do I explain this? And I have to go do like research and like really understand.
It keeps you in check of your knowledge.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And students will, it's always time-based. So it's always like at that moment, at that age, at that point in their career, the questions they throw out are going to be completely different from 5 years ago when you like taught a student and they're at that age at this point time period in life and blah. So it's always different. So I don't know. That's why I like teaching. So, and I think it's important. It's like the one thing I can actually, give back and whatnot. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you spreading the knowledge of filmmaking goes a long fucking way. And, you of all people know how it is to, be like a impromptu guerrilla filmmaking, just kind of producing, DPing, editing, mixing, everything all by yourself. And you done it, but did you kill yourself? Absolutely. But but it was to say that, because I'm not trying to speak for you, but it feels like you wouldn't trade that for the world. Like you wouldn't give away that experience, because you can now share this experience with literally everybody. And then those people are going to make those experiences with the lessons you've taught. They're going to fuck up. I'm going to fuck up. And then we grow together and learn from that as we go along. That's awesome.
Now I obviously just wrapped on a historical film, which was shot in Richmond, Virginia. Yes. And like my AD team and I had this like epiphany moment, like, shit, we're really good. Like we're really good at our job because we have seen and dealt with so many different kinds of filmmakers at different parts of their career, at different budget levels, low budget levels where you have to just make shit work out of nothing. So like we can anticipate almost all problems that come with low budget filmmaking. It's like, I'm gonna deviate a little bit because I have a very funny production story.
Okay.
Nikki, you remember Nikki?
Oh, Nikki! Yes. Shout out to Nikki.
Yes, shout out to Nikki. So she was my second on historical film, which she is a badass second. She's come a long way. She started off, I think she was a key PA on Erzulie. This is her first, I think, second actual gig, and she killed it. Just killed it. there was this one day when we didn't have many. This was a very tiny crew. This was like a 20 something crew for a feature film spread all over several plantations, and like just it was hard. And just one day when all of our PAs didn't make it for whatever personal reasons, sickness or whatever, and so it was me and Nikki doing everything. And we had like 2 company moves. We had a COVID scare, and like, oh my God, somehow we did everything. And that's when you go to battle like that and come out alive and kicking.
That's insane. For those of you who don't know, production move between 2 different locations, it takes a lot.
It takes a lot.
It takes a lot. And to do it with 2 people, I can't even imagine. That's
it was 2 people with like we were moving trucks and like all sorts of stuff, building.
Yeah, you have to coordinate tents, too, and build up tents,
putting up tents and tables and getting lunch ready. Like it was nuts.
Did you guys have locations too, or?
We were locations. Yeah, we were we were locations. Yeah, there was no.
You're
location. Coordinating
Genie, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
You were just like
there was no location. We were locations. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, that was the reality. We were literally locations.
Yeah.
And so it was like we had to figure out, okay, what's the best part for people to park? And then like one of us would be there like telling people park here and don't park there. And then like meanwhile, Nikki's back there collapsing tents, and once people, I'm like, all right, people seem to know what they're doing. I run over there to go help her, like move all the shit to the second location. It was like nuts.
And grueling.
We both administered COVID tests for the team because our COVID officer needed help to like, so that it didn't take forever, half the day to like give everybody COVID tests. So like did all the like self-administered COVID tests by our fucking selves. And then the best part, and I bet there's security footage somewhere and I really want to see it. At 3:15 a.m. in the morning, we have to throw the trash, which production unfortunately generates a crap load of trash. We had to put it in the dumpster. So we arrived at the dumpster and it's stuffed full, because I don't think this dumpster has ever seen this amount of trash in this short period of time ever, because it's like production, right? And it's full. And the only way to be able to get anything else into this dumpster, because we can't leave it out because we're in the woods, so animals will like destroy the trash basically. So the only way to get anything into this dumpster was Nikki was like, it was to open the very top of the dumpster. And like, it's very tall, like very tall.
Yeah.
And Nikki's like, all right, just get on me. So I'm on her shoulders. This is 3:15 a.m. in the morning.
You guys are like the sticky bandits. Like
I'm on her freaking shoulders, and she's like trying to like boost me so that I can like grab the top of the dumpster and I'm glad I'm strong. Like basically
you have upper body strength. You just
chin up the dumpster to get enough of a grasp so I can like flip the lid up basically.
Wow.
And then I come down and then that was at 3:15 a.m. We probably looked like 2 raccoons,
Oh yeah, you both coupled crackheads. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we did all this by ourselves, and then she finally gets home from this day, and it's like I think 4:30 a.m. She texts me, she's like, holy shit, we also did COVID exams today. Like, what did we not do? That was well, you've done that. You're a master of everything. Like Nikki and I'm so horrified by that day, but at the same time, I'm so immensely proud of what we were able. So then after that, when the PAs came, we're like, what's this? Why is this stuff done? Nikki and I did this all by ourselves and it was done in 10 minutes. Like, why is shit not done? Like, we had zero tolerance.
Y'all want to slack?
For everybody.
Yeah.
Because two of us did it by ourselves on time. and we had like 3 or 4 VAs come in the next day, and we're like, we just had zero empathy for anything.
Oh no,
we're
yeah,
like,
you're just clapping at them all day. It's
yeah, we're like,
come on, let's go.
Yeah, dude. Why is this still not done? Like, 2 of us did this by ourselves.
You guys were salty as fuck.
Yeah, we were so salty.
But that happened to me though, in Louisiana.
Yeah, the day that you like AD'd, basically.
What are you talking about?
You said there was a set that you were on that was a shit show that you like. Basically AD'd. Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. I forgot about that, but I was talking about I had a similar trash experience on Erzulie. Where like it was so fucking full.
Yeah.
And the dumpster was like just adjacent to where Kelly and Roxy were staying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remembered like, because it was there were some family emergencies with location, and I had to take care of trash, and I was totally fine with it. I was like, yeah. Absolutely. I don't care. That's chill. But when I got to the dumpster, it was there was even garbage around the dumpster. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to add to this because there's animals.
Yep.
So how the fuck am I going to make this work? So I had to then go to the other dumpster right next to it, the tall one. And I had to hop from that dumpster to the other dumpster because I was just by myself.
Did you climb the dumpster? The shorter one?
Well, first off, I climbed on top of the golf cart, on top of the gator. I climbed on top of the gator, and then I got onto the dumpster, and then I did a Jackie Chan hop to the other dumpster. And I finally like got on it, and I opened the lid, and I just started like stomping down the trash and like threw the other trash in there.
Oh my god!
I almost slipped too. No. I mean, like I could have came back, but I didn't. I was so exhausted. I didn't want to go back.
You're like, I just want to get this done.
I just needed to get it done because I wanted to go to bed. So I was like, so I stomped on everything. I got off, and I even got the other trash around the dumpster inside there. And I remembered like I met up with Roxy and Kelly, and they looked at me and they're like, hard work taking out trash, huh? I'm like, you guys, I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
Yeah, you don't even know. Oh man. Oh, so you totally get it.
Oh no, yeah, I get it. But it was one of those things where like, have you ever had those experiences where something like that happens and you're just like, you know what? If I just don't think about this and get through the set, I will be absolutely okay.
Yeah.
I'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But the problem was that I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I was like, I was just constantly, I even went to my therapist about it. I was just like, and then she was like, well, you wanted to do this. And I'm like, I know, but it's stupid.
Yeah, I feel you. Totally. It's that moment of like, I'm so overwhelmed, but I know that if I can just get this one last thing done, it'll all be over and I will be fine.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. And to have that pain, I mean, it's grueling because like all you can think about is just getting through the day. It's like, just get through the day, just get through the day. And sometimes like you're so half asleep that you don't really think about what you're doing, because me climbing on that dumpster, I don't think is the most practical thing. I should have gotten help. I should have came back and gotten help, but I was so exhausted that I couldn't do it, you know? So there's, when we are faced in the desperation of sleep, the lack of thought that goes into any decision that we do, there's none.
Yeah.
It's just
survival.
It's survival.
At that point, it's survival mode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because you're screwed. You're just like, how can I get past this, instead of thinking like, what's the best possible safest solution to do? Right. It's like, how can I get this done now?
Survival mode. That's in anything that can apply to all things. That can be like, I mean, I kind of had that moment when I came back and discovered like a shit ton of like toll bills and stuff, and I was like, you know what, I don't know if I actually need to pay any of this stuff, but there's a lot of it. I just need to do it, and I'll like figure out why later. Like just get it out of here. Get it. Yeah. Survival
so it's mode. You don't either A, forget about it, or B, you know, it comes back at you and now you're even more screwed. Like it's a bigger fine, it's just more of a headache, whatever. But
survival mode.
Survival mode.
That's going to be the name of our podcast for today.
Survival mode. Because listen, you guys, sometimes
it's a real thing.
Anxiety and lack of sleep is a good concoction for little to no thought.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's how we operated on Erzulie the entire time.
Yeah.
Survival mode.
I want to say like there were days where I feel like we had control of the situation that we were already in, but every time I think about that, I'm like, worry though.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I look back at it and I'm like, because I've been doing all these other films for independent filmmakers or whatever, and I'm like, man, if half the shit that's happening on these other films happened on ours, like there would be no way that we could have done our film. But it wasn't that it was a shit show. It was that it was meticulously planned. Nothing went wrong. Everything was planned for. It was just that we had so much crammed into those days that like any kind of mess up would have like effed us.
And we only had so many hours in the day.
Yeah. Exactly. But we were literally that good at our jobs that we were able to do that. But it was chaotic because of the sheer number of setups we had to do in the day. It had nothing to do with like basic crap like, oh, they didn't think about a locations person and like parking or something, or they didn't think about certain things, and I would say like 90% of the problems that are on these low budget films is mainly caused by the producers because they didn't think about those things, type thing.
Usually,
usually, and it's left to the AD team to like scramble around and figure out like band-aids for all
pick
these
up the slack.
very preventable problems.
Mm-hmm.
But Erzulie wasn't that. Erzulie was just like a perfectly executed, for the most part, logistics that just was overwhelming.
But it was chock full of logistics.
Yeah, because of the sheer size and the craziness of what our production was. But yeah, no, I would say I operated 60% of the time during that production on survival mode, just like it, and I knew it would happen, and that's why I did so much prep in the beginning, because I knew that when it came down to it, there would be zero like processing time. There would be no time to think through anything. It was like you just had to make a decision at that. It's that survival mode where lack of sleep and the sheer amount of stuff that you have to do just drives your and you just have to trust it. You know, you just need to trust that if you do this thing, you'll be fine. Right. Yeah. And I think that's the hardest part. And I think that's what gives people the most anxiety having AD, is that people who aren't good at stress, what they're not good at is trusting the decision they're going to make under duress.
Well, I was going to say, wouldn't you want to trust the team to be under the same duress that the director's in? But I mean, it also takes the director to mellow out the set and make sure that, we're all going to be good and and all on the same page and shit. But, sometimes it's hard in the face of time limitations, like you're losing daylight, you're losing nighttime light in our instance.
No, I think, and I feel like now the more I, do stuff as an AD, I think that's really the main purpose is logistics and stuff, but really it's to be able to maintain this, like, everything is fine mentality.
Yeah.
So that nobody else loses their mind, because I need to be the one who can withstand the most stress type thing. Because
it's not worth it if our boss is like,
yeah.
And you can't, you did an absolutely phenomenal job. The things that happen the way it happened, just sort of like, it came and went, right? Like, it's just like, we still got through it, even with the problems. You still, you still get it because I mean, I don't want to be like Toy Story or Monsters Inc. about this, but like we're a family. Like we can work this shit out, even though I bite someone's head off, you bite someone's head off. Really, at the end of the day,
we will work it out.
We always work it out no matter what. And most of the time we do know when we do it, you know, and that's the best part, unless somebody else calls it out, which in my case, I've had that a couple of times where, you know, they're like, hey man, that wasn't cool what you just said to me. And I immediately need to take a step back and understand, like, I need to take a breath and just know that like shit is just, it's going to go awry, but it's so much better when you have the attitude of just, we're going to get through this. Is it going to be hard? Absolutely. But at the end, we're going to get the thing that we're supposed to get. This camera is bothering me because it keeps shutting off. And if it doesn't one more time, I swear to God, I'm gonna throw this camera. I'm kidding. No, but I don't know. I feel like with the experiences that we've all faced, it's worth it. It's still fine. It's still like it's not. And every time we talk about it, it seems like we hate it. We don't. Like we don't at all.
Yeah, we don't at all.
We love this so much that we want it to be good. We want it to, you know, to be right and stuff. But there's days where nothing we thought goes right. And then so, you know, we get frustrated or we panic, you know, shit like that happens. But if you can, you know, understand yourself and fix it in the moment,
be self-aware
and be self-aware of it, that goes a long fucking way. I feel like, you know,
I agree. I totally
and do something for yourself, even if you're under stress as well. Like I've watched a TED talk recently and it was just like, it was about anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
And it was like, the thing that stresses you out the most, you focus on the most. So you got to do yourself a favor. And if there's a problem you're facing that's not working out for you, take a step back and do something for yourself in that moment that then you can circumvent, come back around to, and realize that, oh yeah, now with cooler heads, I can understand what my problem is and I can fully figure it out. It's like playing a video game and you can't beat the boss level and all you want to do is snap your controller in half.
Right.
But really, you just got to take a break, go get a snack, go get water, go breathe, and then come back 5 minutes later and you feel so much better. You're just like, oh, because I just took that time for myself to just reflect and be like, hey man, it's all good. You just got to do X, Y, and Z.
Need a breather. Just need a breather.
But you don't think about that in the moment. You just want to get through it. You're just like, I just need to get it done. And sometimes you got to take a break. Sometimes you just got to take a moment for yourself. Even though we're on a film day, it's very different because you are now responsible for all the other filmmakers on set, every department, everybody on set. If you're wasting that time, you're taking away their time. And so that's in the back of your head as well. So then you just start thinking, well, fuck it. I'm just going to keep working through it and I'll be miserable.
Survival mode.
Survival mode.
Yes.
I think that's a good place to end it. Christine, what do you think?
I think so too.
An hour, mode. Almost an hour and a half. Well, hour 15, a little over. It's been Survival Mode, episode 61, ladies and gentlemen of the Get Reelisms Podcast. Tune in. Hopefully next week we will do this again. I know we've been
Sunday still. Luckily my production, I am off on Sunday, so we'll be able to keep going Sundays. And subscribe. Make sure to get on
review
Apple Podcast. Review, please. It's important to us. And share, tell people about it. Know that we do both a webisode for this associated podcast, and if you want to listen to it while you're driving, the podcast itself as well. And hopefully you guys can send us some questions down the line. getreelisms@gmail.com, or buy a book. Buy a book today. Yeah. Get your Get Reelisms book now, ladies and gentlemen. Or see this, beautiful. Or a poster.
Get yourself a poster. Come on.
Yeah. So
do yourself a favor, learn some film and love some film, ladies and gentlemen. Please and thank you.
Please and thank you.
ErzuliFilm.com for your previous season 3 of Erzulie, making of Erzulie. If you guys want to go back, I've gone back and listened to some old episodes.
I have too. Oh, good. I'm not the only weirdo. I've gone back and listened and been like, wow.
And boy, howdy, I had a lot of I'm speaking for myself. I had a lot of anxiety before, like during those podcasts. And I think like after we got back, that's when like everything was just like, all right, we're good now. I'm not a bundle of nerves anymore. And, and also too, I know we've been on and off with the podcast for the past couple of weeks and stuff like that. For those of you who don't know,
responsibility.
No, I've also done the same thing, especially post Erzulie. I've done the same thing. There was like, Christine, we can't do an episode this week. I'm in recovery mode. So
yeah, we're putting all this in between our jobs too. So
exactly, I'm in between jobs,
productions. That's why on the videos you'll see like, oh, she's in this place. Like, where the hell is she today? So it's a kind of a mobile podcast, and we just want it to be something where people who are in the industry can empathize or feel like you're not alone and feeling the way you are when you're on production, or really just anybody who's interested in films and want to make their own. So
yeah, and who doesn't? Come on, ladies and gentlemen, please subscribe, please review, please give us a shout. Give us a comment, give us a like, give us questions. It's an interactive podcast, ladies and gentlemen. And we love you for tuning in and watching our discussions every single week, or as long as we've been doing this. And we'll see you next time. Anything else, Christine, you want to share?
No, we're good.
Then that's been the Get Reelisms Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Instagram. Thank you, Facebook. We love yous. Now we're going to go now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.